So I watched the first 4 episodes of Eden Zero, a new shonen science fiction fantasy anime out. I know I did a first impression on the manga a long time ago, but it was in my old channel, which is gone now, so I thought I'd do it all over again with this new video. Anyways, this series might look very familiar to many of you, particularly due to the style and character designs. Way too familiar if you ask me. I mean, seriously, Urza is a space pirate now. Yeah, the author of the manga is Hiro Mashima, who also did Fairy Tail, which he finished a while back before starting this new series, Eden Zero, which is basically Fairy Tail in space. Although the series shows attempts at setting itself apart from Fairy Tail, it can sometimes feel ironically awkward where it's brought up. First of all, its clear technology is much more advanced, and sometimes I get a bit weirded out when I feel like I'm watching Fairy Tail, but then the characters go on the internet. Also, they make comparisons with how much the guilds are different in this series. Then, even though Shiki, Rebecca, Elsie, and some other girl who looks like Wendy have resemblances to Fairy Tail characters, at least Y. Steiner actually feels like an original character. I still think it's an issue with Mashima though, since he's too attached to his old characters. It keeps him from experimenting more. Although Ray had more varied designs, Ellie was also quite similar to Lucy, who was then similar to Rebecca, an archetype that also seems to be inspired by Nami from One Piece. Although I certainly like Lucy much better than Nami, I think she's like, Nami, well, they're not too similar, but Lucy personality-wise, how should I explain this? She's like the archetype done better, you know. Anyways, about the story, the first episode was mostly simple. Rebecca arrives at a planet of robots and meets Shiki, who's pretty much clueless about human society, having lived there all his life, which feels a bit reminiscent of Dragon Ball, except Bulma's Lucy and Goku is a love child of Natsu and Grey. Although I certainly like the ending of this episode, even if you can see it coming, it's still a really touching twist with how the robots only pretend to be evil to chase Natku and Girl 3175 away. Since it turned out they were about to die, they didn't want Natsu Black to stick around there in despair and instead go out, explore the universe and make new friends. It's a particularly powerful point when the robot who was Shiki's best friend says the line, if he knew how lonely he would feel, maybe he didn't want a heart after all before dying. Emotional moments like these seem to be the best parts of Eden Zero so far. The second episode also had Rebecca and Happy's past, although it got me thinking, what if this Happy is actually the same Happy from Fairy Tail? Just my headcanon, but he should really have lost his memories if that's the case, but would that mean that Natsu abandoned him? So much for Natsu and his friendship, right? Lol. The original Natsu, I mean. When it comes to the fights, it's really simple so far. Just Shiki using his gravity powers for some stunts and beating up his opponents. Hopefully it gets better there. Fairy Tail at least has some moments of creativity. I think I've been a bit harsh on Mashima in the past though. The guy certainly knows how to have fun with his stories, and when he has the right ideas, I also have fun with him as well. Which is how he comes up with some creative fights or emotional moments with the characters. But at times when he's out of ideas, he usually resorts to generic stuff like power friendship, which, he defaults to when he's not really that creative. I think Mashima is probably the famous mangaka who feels the most carefree and fun-loving. He doesn't care much about the flaws in the story that it might have, as long as he's having fun with it. So far, Eden Zero is okay, not great just yet, or not even as good as Fairy Tail just yet, but there were a few really memorable moments, though I enjoy it much more than I should because of the comparisons to Fairy Tail, but that's not a very good reason, is it? So it's still the best show, new show that came out these past few years, certainly better than Jujutsu Kaisen anyway. Although the normal arc seems to be slow right now, I see potential it can get good. The villain seems quite like the generic asshole, but you need villains like that from time to time. I'll see how it goes anyway. I feel I will most likely watch more of this series in the future. Not right now though, since I got a lot more other manga to read at the moment and a certain anime I'm looking forward to next season. But until then, see ya.